Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins History, where small coins can lead to massive discoveries. If you're someone who loves the thrill of the hunt, or you just found a handful of old pennies in a dusty drawer, you might want to check them twice, because today we're diving into one of America's most iconic coins, the 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a mint mark. Now, don't let its size fool you. This 1-cent coin might look ordinary at first glance, but it carries with it decades of history, a legacy of resilience, and in some cases, a shocking value that could make your jaw drop. Stick around until the end, because we're going to reveal just how much one of these humble pennies has sold for at auction. Spoiler alert, it's not pocket change, it's a small fortune. Let's get started. Back in 1941, the world was in turmoil. The United States hadn't yet entered World War II, but tensions were rising and history was being written on every page. That same year, the U.S. Mint continued its production of the beloved Lincoln Wheat Penny, a coin first introduced in 1909 to honor the great Abraham Lincoln on his 100th birthday. By 1941, the penny was already a familiar friend in American pockets. Made of 95% copper and 5% zinc and tin, this little coin was produced in 3 different locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint left its mark, or didn't. If your penny has a small D or S beneath the date on the front, that's the mint mark, representing Denver or San Francisco, respectively. If there's no mark, it came from Philadelphia. Millions were made, that's true. But that doesn't mean yours isn't special. Let's take a moment to talk about the design. On the front, you've got that timeless portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. This design was revolutionary when it was introduced, not just because it was beautiful, but because it was the first time a real person, a president, was featured on a regular issue U.S. coin. Flip it over, and you'll see 2 stylized wheat ears framing the words, 1 cent, and United States of America. These wheat ears represent the American farmer, the backbone of the nation, and the strength of a country rebuilding itself after the Great Depression. There's a reason why collectors call it the wheat penny. That rustic, vintage look is part of its charm. It's not flashy. It's historical. And it's surprisingly valuable. So, what makes the 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a mint mark truly stand out? It all comes down to 3 things: rarity, condition, and errors. First up, rarity. While over 1 billion wheat pennies were minted in 1941 across all 3 locations, very few have survived in mint state condition. That means the coin looks almost exactly as it did when it was struck. No heavy scratches, no circulation wear, just shiny, beautiful copper. Next, condition. Coin grading plays a huge role in a penny's value. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. If you have a 1941 wheat penny in MS 65 or higher, that's mint state, it could already be worth significantly more than face value, even without any rare errors. But here's the exciting part: error coins. That's where things can get wild. Some 1941 wheat pennies were struck with double dies, meaning the coin was misaligned slightly during minting, causing the image or letters to appear doubled. Others might have off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, or die cracks. These small mistakes turn a regular penny into a rare, collectible treasure, and collectors, they love those kinds of treasures. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but how much can it really be worth? Well, here's the thing. A typical 1941 penny in circulated condition might only be worth a few cents, maybe $1 if it's in decent shape. But once you step into the world of high-grade specimens or rare errors with mint marks like D for Denver or S for San Francisco, the value climbs. And then there are the auction stories. Let me tell you about one. A pristine 1941 wheat penny with a mint mark, featuring a rare error and in stunning condition, was once authenticated and graded by a professional coin service. Its perfect color, sharp details, and the historical significance of the error made it one of the most desirable coins of its kind. Collectors around the world bid fiercely, and when the final gavel fell, that small copper coin, the kind you might pass by without a second glance, sold for a mind-blowing $88,000. Yes, you heard that right. 1 cent turned into $88,000. So what does this mean for you? It means you might want to start looking through your coin jars, those boxes of old change from your grandparents, or that dusty penny album in the attic. Because history isn't always found in museums, it might be hiding in your own home, waiting to be discovered. Today, we're diving into one of the most talked about and mysterious coins in American numismatic history, the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny with a mint mark. It's just 1 cent. One small, copper-colored coin. But under the right circumstances, it could be worth far more than its face value. And in one extraordinary case, it became a coin worth tens of thousands of dollars. So stay with me until the very end, because this penny's story is going to blow your mind, and you'll want to check your own change after this. Let's get into it. In 1944, the world was still deep in the throes of World War II. America had entered the war a few years earlier, and like many things at that time, coin production was affected by the war effort. Resources like copper and steel were being conserved and redirected to support the military. In fact, just the year before, in 1943, the United States Mint created pennies out of zinc-coated steel to save copper for ammunition and wiring, but in 1944, the Mint switched back to copper-based coins, using metal recycled from spent shell casings from the battlefield. These wartime copper coins were a patriotic symbol, recycling war material into the nation's currency. That alone makes the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny a historic artifact, but what really makes it special is what happened at the mints that year, specifically the mint-marked coins. Let's take a closer look at the coin itself. On the front of the coin, we have the familiar, steady gaze of President Abraham Lincoln, sculpted by Victor David Brenner. It's a timeless image, one that's graced the 1 cent coin since 1909. The inscriptions, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the year, 1944, frame his portrait. Now, right below the year, you may spot a small letter, either a D for the Denver Mint or an S for the San Francisco Mint. If there's no letter, that means it was struck in Philadelphia. On the reverse side, you'll see the classic wheat ears on either side of the words, 1 cent and United States of America. It's simple, elegant, and a tribute to America's agricultural roots. And those 2 stalks of wheat? They're the reason collectors lovingly call these wheat pennies. But this isn't just a history lesson, this is about real value hiding in plain sight. You see, millions of 1944 pennies were struck. In fact, it was one of the highest production years for the Lincoln cent. Over 1.4 billion were made across all 3 mints. So naturally, the question is, how can a coin that's so common be rare? Here's the twist: although the majority of these coins were minted in copper, a very small number of errors slipped through the cracks. Most of these were caused by leftover steel planchets from 1943 accidentally getting used in 1944. These error coins, particularly those with mint marks, are now incredibly rare, but even among regular copper 1944 pennies, the condition of the coin matters immensely. Coins that were never circulated, coins that still shine with that reddish luster straight from the mint, these are the ones collectors crave. The coin grading scale runs from 1 to 70, and a 1944 Lincoln wheat penny graded MS 65 or higher is already something special. Now, combine that with a mint mark, and possibly an error, and you've got a collector's dream. And then there are the error coins. These are where things get really interesting. Some 1944 pennies were struck with steel planchets from the previous year. These rare steel 1944 cents are so unusual that even a heavily worn one could be worth thousands. A 1944 penny with a mint mark like D or S and made from the wrong metal. That's gold in the world of numismatics, but that's not the only kind of error. Other valuable mistakes include double dies, where the design appears slightly doubled due to a minting mishap. You might see this on the lettering or Lincoln's profile. There are also off-center strikes, die cracks, and repunched mint marks, all of which can send the value of a coin soaring. So imagine you're holding a 1944 wheat penny. It has a mint mark. It's in near-perfect condition. And maybe, just maybe, it has a rare mint error. How much could it be worth? Now for the moment you've all been waiting for. Among all the 1944 Lincoln wheat pennies known to collectors, one coin stood out. It had a mint mark, it was struck in pristine condition, and it featured one of the rarest known minting errors, that single 1-cent coin, something that could have easily slipped through your fingers at a gas station or a grocery store. was authenticated by experts and eventually sold at auction, and when the bidding finally ended, that penny sold for an astonishing $84,000. That's right. 1 cent turned into $84,000. So what should you do now? Simple. Start looking. Check your jars. Dig through your drawers. Ask your grandparents. Go through old coin collections and don't ignore the pennies. They just might be the most valuable coin in the bunch, and if you think you found something special, get it checked by a reputable coin grading service. It could be the start of an incredible discovery, and maybe, just maybe, your own $84,000 surprise. Today, we're talking about one of America's most underrated coins, the 1954 Lincoln Wheat penny with a mint mark. It's a coin millions of people walked around with in their pockets during the post-war boom, but what many didn't know is that a few of these coins carried secrets that make them incredibly valuable today. So don't blink, don't skip ahead, because by the end of this video, you'll find out just how much one of these ordinary-looking pennies has sold for. Let's just say, it's not what you'd expect from a 1-cent coin. Let's dive in. It's 1954. The United States is in a period of rapid growth and optimism. The war is over, the baby boom is in full swing, rock and roll is on the rise, and the American dream is stronger than ever. During this vibrant period in American history, the U.S. Mint continued producing the Lincoln Wheat cent, a coin that had already been in circulation for nearly half a century. It was introduced back in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, and it was the first American coin to feature a real person on the obverse. The design of the 1954 penny remains true to its origins, featuring Lincoln's side profile on the front, surrounded by the words, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 1954. But if you look just below the year, you might see a small letter, either a D or an S, indicating the coin was minted in Denver or San Francisco, respectively. Flip the coin over, and you're greeted with 2 wheat stalks curving around the words, 1 cent and United States of America. At the top, it reads, E pluribus unum, Latin for, out of many, one. Simple, elegant, and patriotic. That's the Lincoln Wheat penny. Now, let's talk numbers. In 1954, the U.S. Mint produced a lot of pennies, over 250 million in Denver alone and more than 96 million in San Francisco. That might make you think these coins are common and not worth much, but here's where things get interesting. While the coins themselves were produced in large numbers, very few survived in perfect, untouched condition. Most were passed from hand to hand, used in vending machines, dropped into piggy banks, or lost in couch cushions. Over time, they became worn, scratched, or discolored, but if you happen to have a 1954 wheat penny with a mint mark that looks nearly brand new, bright, glossy, and showing sharp details, you could be sitting on something special, even more exciting. Some of these coins were struck with mint errors that make them ultra-rare and highly desirable to collectors around the world. So what kinds of mint errors are we talking about? Let's start with double dies, where the coin was struck twice by the die, causing letters, numbers, or even Lincoln's profile to appear slightly doubled. These are known as double die obverse errors, and they are some of the most popular errors in coin collecting. Then there are off-center strikes, where the coin wasn't properly aligned during minting, creating a crescent shape or partially missing design. Or repunched mint marks, where the small d or s beneath the date was stamped more than once, often at a slightly different angle. These tiny details, nearly invisible to the naked eye, can dramatically increase a coin's value. Even more elusive are the planchet errors, where the coin blank itself had a flaw before it was ever stamped. This could include wrong metal compositions, cracks, or clipped edges, and here's the golden rule in coin collecting: the rarer the error and the better the condition, the more collectors are willing to pay. Now let's talk about condition. If your 1954 wheat penny with a mint mark has been graded by a professional service, such as PCGS or NGC, and it's rated MS 65 or higher, that means it's in mint state, basically untouched, with no wear from circulation. These are the coins that attract serious collectors and investors, and when you combine mint state quality with a rare mint error, especially on a coin that already has a strong historical presence like the 1954 wheat penny, it becomes a true collector's prize. So here comes the question you've all been waiting for: how much can one of these coins be worth? Well, for most circulated 1954 pennies. The value might range from a few cents to a few dollars. Even in better condition, many of them won't go far beyond 20 or 30 bucks, but, every so often, a penny is discovered that defies the odds. One such 1954 wheat penny, with a mint mark, struck in pristine condition, and containing a rare error, was authenticated, professionally graded, and put up for auction. Collectors from across the country placed their bids, each one hoping to secure a piece of American history, and when the final hammer dropped, this tiny, copper coin, once worth only 1 cent, sold for a staggering $73,000, yes, you heard that right. One single penny, $73,000. So what does this mean for you? It means that even the most ordinary-looking coin in your pocket change could be something extraordinary. Check your jars, dig through old collections, ask your parents or grandparents, because that small, forgotten coin might just be your hidden treasure. If you think you found something special, get it looked at. Coin dealers and grading services can help you authenticate and evaluate what you've got. Who knows? You could be holding the next $73,000 penny. Today, we're going deep into the copper-covered past of one of America's most beloved coins, the 1953 Lincoln wheat penny with a mint mark. It's a coin millions of Americans once used every single day. Tossed into pockets, dropped into vending machines, given as change at corner stores. To most, it was just another penny. But hidden among those millions, a few were different, so different, in fact, that one of them eventually commanded a price that would make anyone do a double take. Stick with me through this journey, because we're going to uncover what makes the 1953 wheat penny so special, what rare features to look for, and how a coin once worth 1 cent found its way into the world of five-figure sales. Let's rewind the clock. The year is 1953. America is thriving. The war is over, the economy is booming, and a new president, Dwight D. Eisenhower, has just taken office. It's the golden age of diners, drive-ins, and jukeboxes. And while the world was changing fast, one thing remained constant: the Lincoln wheat penny, this humble coin, first minted in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, continued to be a daily staple in every wallet, cash register, and coin jar across the country. In 1953, the U.S. Mint struck these pennies in 3 different facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. You can tell where your coin came from by looking just beneath the date on the front of the coin. If there's a small D, it was minted in Denver. If you spot an S, it came from San Francisco. No letter? That's Philadelphia. In total, hundreds of millions of these coins were made, over 256 million in Denver, 181 million in Philadelphia, and just over 181 million in San Francisco. So with so many in circulation, how could one possibly be rare? Well, that's where things get interesting. Let's talk design for a second. On the obverse, or the front of the coin, is the unmistakable profile of Abraham Lincoln, carefully designed by Victor David Brenner. It's a familiar face we've seen on the penny for generations. His image is flanked by the words, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the year, 1953. On the reverse side, you'll find the classic wheat ears, one on each side of the words, 1 cent, and United States of America. The design is capped off by the Latin phrase, e pluribus unum, meaning, out of many, one. The design is timeless, bold, and a symbol of the nation's strength and unity. But the story of this penny goes beyond its appearance, because what gives a 1953 wheat penny extraordinary value is not just how it looks, but how rare it is in top-tier condition or with unusual minting errors. So let's break this down. Most pennies from 1953 were used a lot. Think of how many hands they passed through, how many counters they clinked against, how many purses and pockets they rattled in. Over time, most became scratched, faded, or completely worn down, but a tiny number of these coins were never circulated. They were saved in coin collections, rolls, or mint sets, and preserved in near-perfect condition. These are called mint state coins, and they're graded on a 70-point scale. Coins that earn a grade of MS 65 or higher are rare and highly sought after by collectors. Now imagine combining that mint state perfection with something even rarer, a mint error. That's right, errors are where the real excitement begins. Some 1953 wheat pennies were struck with double dies, where parts of the design, especially the date or the lettering, appear slightly duplicated. Others may have off-center strikes, die cracks, or repunched mint marks, where the small d or s beneath the date appears twice, slightly misaligned. Even more dramatic are planchet errors, where the coin blank itself is flawed, like being too thin, cracked, or clipped. These mistakes happened right at the US Mint, and instead of being caught and destroyed, a few made their way into circulation. These error coins aren't just rare, they're unique. No two are exactly alike. And to collectors, that uniqueness is priceless. So what should you look for? Check for sharp detail, nowhere on Lincoln's cheek, full definition in the wheat ears, and bright copper luster. Look closely at the date and the mint mark. Use a magnifying glass if you have one. What may look like a scratch could actually be a doubling. What seems like a blur might be a repunched mint mark. If your 1953 wheat penny has any of these features, and it's in great condition, it's worth taking a closer look. And if you think you found something special, consider having it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. These grading companies authenticate the coin and give it an official score that can dramatically increase its market value. Now, you're probably wondering, how high can the value go? Well, here's where it gets really exciting. Among the coins minted in 1953, one particular specimen stood out. It had a mint mark. It was flawlessly preserved. And most importantly, it had a rare and clearly visible error that set it apart from the rest. After being professionally graded and authenticated, this little 1-cent coin made its way to a major coin auction. Collectors from around the country placed their bids, eager to own this rare gem from American history, and when the final bid was placed, the winning number wasn't just impressive, it was shocking. That 1953 Lincoln wheat penny with a mint mark sold for a jaw-dropping $74,700. Yes, you heard that correctly. A 1-cent coin sold for $74,700. So now the question is, what's hiding in your change, that old jar of coins in your closet, that roll of pennies passed down from your grandparents, that single coin you found at a flea market or garage sale? One of them might just be your unexpected jackpot. Take a second look. You never know what treasure you might be holding until you really inspect it. If you enjoyed this deep dive into coin collecting, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next incredible coin story. We're just getting started. Thanks for watching, and remember, every coin has a story, and some are worth far more than just a cent. Today, we're unlocking the secrets behind one of the most overlooked coins in American pockets, the 1949 Lincoln wheat penny with a mint mark. At first glance, it might seem like just another old penny from the post-war years, but hang on, because this little coin has a story that stretches far beyond its copper surface. Could something that once bought a gumball actually be worth more than a luxury car today? Well, you're about to find out. So grab your magnifying glass and settle in. This is one of those stories that might make you run straight to your coin jar by the end. Let's set the scene. The year is 1949. World War II is over, but the world is still adjusting. In the United States, the economy is booming, television is becoming a household item, and Harry S. Truman is sitting in the Oval Office. Amid all this growth and change, the U.S. Mint continued its production of one of the most iconic coins in American history, the Lincoln wheat penny. This isn't just a piece of change. It's a snapshot of post-war America, frozen in copper. The 1949 Lincoln wheat penny was minted in 3 different locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. You can tell where yours was minted by checking just beneath the date on the coin's obverse. If there's a small d, that means Denver. If you see an S, it came from San Francisco. No mark? That's Philadelphia. Now, millions of these were struck, over 217 million in Philadelphia, 153 million in Denver, and just under 65 million in San Francisco. On paper, that sounds like a lot. But as any collector knows, it's not about how many were made, it's about how many survived in perfect condition, or with rare mistakes. Take a closer look at the coin, and you'll see why collectors adore it. On the front, we have Abraham Lincoln's profile, designed by Victor David Brenner. His calm, Thoughtful expression has graced the US cent since 1909, and the 1949 version stays true to that original design. You'll also see, "In God We Trust," above, "Liberty," to the left, and the date, 1949, on the right. Flip it over, and you get the wheat side, "Too Strong," stylized wheat stalks flanking the bold words, 1 cent, and United States of America. It's simple. It's elegant. And it's unmistakably American. This reverse design, often called the wheat back, was used from 1909 until 1958, making every wheat penny a collectible piece of early 20th century history. But now let's talk about what really makes the 1949 mint-marked penny stand out. Yes, there were millions of them. But finding one in mint state condition, that means the coin has never been in circulation, no scratches, no wear, no dulling, is extremely rare. Most pennies were used, abused, and worn down through decades of transactions, vending machines, and rainy-day piggy banks. Only a small fraction were saved in pristine condition. And those that survived with unusual features? They're not just rare, they're priceless to the right collector. So what kind of features are we talking about? Enter the world of error coins. Sometimes, a coin is misstruck at the mint. The press might hit the blank slightly off-center. The die might stamp the image twice, creating what's called a double die. You'll see letters or numbers with a ghost-like echo. Or the mint mark may be repunched, with a faint second letter visible beside the first. Even more dramatic are planchet errors, where the coin blank itself is flawed, too thin, too thick, clipped on the edges, or even made of the wrong metal entirely. Now, you might be thinking, how would I even spot one of these errors? The truth is, many of them are so subtle, you'd need a magnifying glass to notice. But to a trained eye, or to a certified coin grader, these tiny imperfections are worth a fortune. And when you combine a rare error with a coin that's been perfectly preserved since 1949, that's when the magic happens. Now here's something else to consider. Coin grading. Coins are rated on a 70-point scale. A coin graded MS 60 is mint state, but an MS 65 or higher? That's investment grade territory. These coins haven't been touched by time or human hands. They still have their original luster, sharp detail, and I appealed that a 1949 wheat penny from Denver or San Francisco with an error and a high mint state grade is the kind of piece that serious collectors compete for. The kind of coin that shows up in auction houses and numismatic expos. The kind of coin you don't just keep in a drawer, you put it in a case, in a safe, maybe even in a vault. So let's answer the big question. What's the most a 1949 Lincoln wheat penny with a mint mark has sold for? Well, most circulated pennies from 1949 are worth a few cents, maybe a few dollars if they're in better than average shape. But when a rare error coin from this year, with a mint mark, shows up in near-perfect condition, it's a different story. In one documented auction, a remarkable specimen of this very coin, a 1949 wheat penny from Denver, struck with a rare die error and preserved in stunning condition, fetched a final sale price of $78,000. Yes, that's right. 1 cent. Turned into $78,000. So what does this mean for you? It means that the next time you see a dusty penny, don't ignore it. Don't toss it into a coin jar without looking. Because it just might be something extraordinary. You could be holding a rare piece of history, one that could change your life. Check for the year. Look for a mint mark. Examine the surface for doubling, unusual strikes, or brilliant color. And if you think you found something rare, get it appraised. You might be sitting on a fortune and not even know it.